Larry Goulder, what are the bright spots you see in the United States regarding pricing carbon pollution or policy action regarding the things we're talking about?
You saved the tough questions for last, I see.
I got tougher ones yet.
Well, it depends what your expectations are. Obviously, I feel that the political situation, as do many, is really very, very difficult in the U.S. now. Things are very polarized. And in terms of climate change policy, I'm sorry, giving you the negative first. There was some movement toward a cap and trade system through the Waxman-Markey bill that was passed by the House in 2009 but never reached the Senate. Now the support for cap and trade seems to have declined since then. There's some talk about a carbon tax as an alternative at the national level to perhaps be part of a broader tax reform effort. But even then, the overall support is kind of weak. If you ask me for bright spots, I would say that I was encouraged by President Obama's reference in his State of the Union address to the climate problem, and his basically throwing down the gauntlet and saying that if Congress isn't going to pass a national climate bill, he will take action through the executive branch. So I'm encouraged by that, and the sense that one gets is that he's serious about this, and the EPA is already drawing up plans to control carbon dioxide under the levers or the auspices of the Clean Air Act. So I think that that will do something. I would have preferred there be legislation that could either introduce carbon pricing through cap and trade or a carbon tax. I think that would be a more cost-effective way of achieving the reductions. But I'd certainly would be happy for half a loaf in the form of these executive efforts to control, in particular, emissions from coal-fired power plants. Also, a bright spot is that many states are already taking pretty significant action through, for example, renewable portfolio standards, which impose a certain minimal proportion of clean or renewable energy that has to be purchased by utilities as a proportion of the total energy that they purchase. So there are some bright spots, but we have a long way to go. I think, again, getting the word out and getting grassroots support is a key to getting political action. Just as it turns out, though, that there is already considerably more support at the grassroots level for vigorous climate change policy than there is support among our elected legislators in Washington, D.C. And you can perhaps invoke special interests as an explanation for that many politicians recognize that climate change, for better, for worse, or worse, is not a decisive issue in terms of getting elected. They can violate the preferences of their constituents and still get reelected as long as they have the right vote on more decisive issues like abortion or gun control or the economy.